What $400,000 gets you today versus 5 years ago. If you had $400,000 to spend last year, it made you a strong buyer in 2021, but it looks very different now in North Collin County. And the buyers who waited to see what would happen are feeling that gap right now. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what 5 years of waiting cost buyers here in areas like Anna, Melissa, Princeton, Celina, and even McKinney. So we're going to break down the square footage, the monthly payment, and the neighborhoods, and what smart buyers are doing differently today. Let's start on how much $400,000 actually bought you then compared to today. So back in 2021 in North Collin County, you could find a home with over 2,500 square feet for $400,000 in established neighborhoods. These areas included places closer to McKinney with easier access to major roads, shoppings, and of course those coveted schools. But today, that same budget typically gets you about 1,800 to 2,400 square feet and often newer construction, but in communities that are further out. And that is usually the first surprise to buyers that they run into when they start looking. Builders aren't building smaller because buyers are suddenly wanting a smaller property. They're building smaller because land costs are more expensive, construction costs, and of course, affordability has changed significantly here over the past 5 years. So instead of stretching buyers too far on price, they've expanded that geographical location. What you're seeing now is buyers are paying similar price point, but they're getting a different product than they did just even a few years ago. Now, let's talk about the numbers that actually affect that lifestyle trend. In early 2021, mortgage rates were only around 2.6%. I know that's hard to believe. So on a $400,000 house with 10% down, your monthly payment was roughly $1,500. That's a very different environment than what we're seeing about borrowing money right now. Today's rates are actually closer to 6.5%, depending on the buyer and, of course, the loan type. So that same purchase is now costing a buyer about $2,200 a month. That's a big difference when you're looking at month to month. That increase is what buyers feel most. Even if the purchase has not changed dramatically in terms of price, they feel that comfortability on the monthly basis because it's not just about what you can afford to buy. It's about how much you're comfortable. I tell buyers that all the time. We can qualify for a lot, but do you really feel comfortable paying that increased monthly payment? Now, this is where it really shows up locally. In 2021, a $400,000 budget gave access to more established parts of North Collin County, closer to the centric, maybe Plano, or even downtown McKinney. You had options closer to McKinney and even parts of Plano, depending on the property. Today, that budget is pushing buyers further out in areas such as Princeton or Anna, Melissa, and even Celina. And for a lot of buyers, that shift feels really big at first. But these aren't just fallback areas anymore. These communities are growing super quickly with coveted schools, HEB, Buc-ee's, different arenas coming in, restaurants. So what used to feel like a compromise to a lot of buyers is now a strategy. Now, here's where things actually improve for buyers today. Back in 2021, the inventory was extremely low and buyers were competing heavily for properties. Multiple offers, waived inspections, and very little negotiating power. But today there's far more inventory, which gives buyers more options and, of course, more control. This is where buyers can actually take advantage of what's going on in the market today. Homes are sitting a little bit longer, which creates opportunities. You can negotiate repairs, you can ask for closing costs, maybe even a price reduction, and you have more time to make that decision without feeling super rushed. So here's what smart buyers are doing differently right now. They are taking advantage of the current inventory and negotiating power while it's still available. They are focusing on long-term value, especially in growing areas like Celina. They are also paying attention to their monthly numbers and making sure that the payment actually matches their lifestyle. Are they going to still be able to go on that great vacation every summer that they've planned for years and years? And they're not just waiting anymore because the last 5 years has shown that waiting does not make it more affordable and it doesn't make the buying process easier. If you were buying around $400,000 in North Collin County today, it is still a strong price. There are still opportunities at this level. It just looks a little different than it did a few years ago. And understanding that difference is what helps buyers make smarter decisions. So, which areas in McKinney can you still purchase a property for $400,000? Well, top on that list is Westridge, which is on the McKinney-Frisco border. But homes were built in about the 2000 era. They do have a strong community, parks, and pools. And you can get a property around $2,000 2,000 square feet in Westridge. Brookview is another community to consider if you're looking in the 400,000 price point in McKinney. While it's got great accessibility to 75, the homes are smaller, but they're still affordable. It's a hit for first-time home buyers or purchasing a starter home. Believe it or not, you can still get a bungalow in downtown McKinney. They pop up often. We've actually just sold a few. They do go fast typically. So you can have charm, walkability, and the proximity to downtown McKinney and still have some of that affordability. If you're currently looking in Anna, McKinney, or Celina, I would love to know, what are you seeing right now? And if you want a real breakdown on what your budget looks like today, send me a message and I'll walk you right through it.